going. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the team to kick us off, and then you'll hear from me from there.
Thanks so much, Emily. My name is Kata Hearn. I am the Director of Career Services here at Gateway Campus, and I am also joined by Patty. You go by Patty for everybody? Okay, by Patty Moran over at Southern. We are really excited to have this space with Parker Dewey today. Parker Dewey has been such a valuable resource for our students who are exploring short-term, meaningful opportunities to connect with their industry of choice. And today we're going to take a look at how employers and community partners can benefit from these resources to support their recruitment efforts. I also see a bunch of familiar names here in terms of faculty members, advisors, so the staff. Thank you so much for joining us. It can be really beneficial to see what this process looks like from the recruiter side. So I'm really happy that you're joining us today too. Thank you for being here. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Emily.
Great. Thank you so much. All right, so we'll get started. And again, thank you so much to our partners at CT State Gateway and Southern Connecticut State. We're happy and proud to count you as one of our 800 partner schools that we work with across the country. And so just again, a special thank you to you all for letting me pop in and spend some time with you today. One thing I want to note before we get started is that I love to see a mixed audience, faculty, staff, employers and partners and supporters. This presentation is going to be very employer focused, but obviously happy to answer any questions that come up as it relates to your role with this opportunity as well. I'll certainly give an overview of micro-internships and who we are here at Parker Dewey, how it works, and then obviously take time at the end to answer questions for you as well. Okay, so who is Parker Dewey? We've been around now for about a decade. Since our founding, we've been 100% focused on creating real and experiential recruiting opportunities for employers to engage prospective students. We use a skills-first framework to see that in action. We've time-tested it, we've proven it. We've really made it accessible for all your early career hiring. We've removed the friction, the paperwork, and hassle that usually exists when you're hiring, really, which makes it much easier for you to capture the data and respond to changing needs. And as we saw in the initial poll, this is important to all of you. There's a lot happening right now with the economy, with things changing. We see a lot of organizations pulling back recruiting budgets, not making as many visits to campus, but still wanting to engage with the students there. And so micro-internships can be a great resource to support all those goals. Our platform collects a ton of data as well, which is going to help you really improve your early career recruiting outcomes, but also be able to make a case to your C-level leadership as well, which is something that's really important right now. I also want to make sure we define what micro-internships are. And so in short, they are bite-sized experiences, short-term paid projects that are both engaging to students, driving them to want to learn more about your organization, and also keeping them engaged after they've shown the interest. It also allows you as the employer to quickly see their skills in a way that's not necessarily captured from a resume, and before you invest a bunch of time in getting to know them. And so I was just telling the team before, I used to work in career services myself prior to coming to Parker Dewey, very used to seeing lots of student resumes. They often look very similar to each other, similar classes, same GPA. And so it can be hard for employers to differentiate and understand what's beneath the surface on those skills. As you can also see, the investment to get projects posted is very small, typically less than $600 a project. I'm also going to touch on a grant that we have available for all of you where you can try micro internships at no cost. And so once that funding runs out, there are other opportunities, but in general, you're going to be spending either $0 or under $600 to post a project for a student. We want to ensure that all students are paid for the work though. So regardless of if you're paying out of pocket or your projects are covered by the grant that we're working with, all students will receive payment, which is great, something that we really support. All micro internships are also sort of end with what we call a deliverable. So the student will turn something into you at the end of this micro internship project. They're typically, again, somewhere between 10 to 40 hours worth of work. And when they wrap that project up, they will turn something into you, a deliverable. Students have told us time and time again that this is how they want to be recruited. They want a chance to show you their skills and learn more about their organization. The students are on our books the entire time, so we're not asking you to onboard a student, give them access to your offices or internal databases or passwords or client lists or anything like that because they are typically with you for a short-term time. We handle all the administrative burden, we handle any HR issues that come up, and for paid projects, really for all projects because all students are paid, we handle payroll for the students. We also handle their 1099 tax forms if they meet that threshold. So really all you have to worry about is posting a project, thinking of a deliverable, and then checking in with the student to make sure that everything's going well. The whole process is very transparent on the Parker Dewey platform, and so you'll always understand how the costs work and where the students are engaged. In general, again, outside of the fund that you are eligible for, students keep 90% of the total project fee, and then Parker Dewey retains just 10%. That's so that we're covering our administrative and HR burdens. Projects are available at any time. You can post a project today when we hang up on this call, and typically within 48 hours, you have a students ready to apply. We don't need to tie projects to a class or a semester. Students are eager to work year round. Many micro-internship projects are remote, and so it's great because students are able to continue their academics, they're able to continue their involvement on campus, their part-time job, whatever it is that they're doing, while still working on these projects for you. If you want a student to come on site, that's certainly allowed. You're welcome to have them in person, but remote projects make it very easy because, again, we want this to be low lift for you. So I want to talk about how employers are using Parker Dewey and sort of the reasons behind that. And I want to focus on three specific use cases. So first, the primary goal for a lot of our employers is to use this as a recruiting tool. And so I wanted to kind of understand some of your goals at the very beginning. And so this is designed to help you do one of two things. And so first, confirm fit and hire with confidence. And two, build your talent pipeline and brand awareness. And so, for the first one, confirm fit, here's where you might want to think about a micro internship almost as an audition. Again, you might be seeing what we call the application avalanche coming through. You're getting too many resumes, so many students applying to your projects. And these, again, the students often look the same on paper. And so how do you decide if student A is a better fit or student B? And so a micro-internship project helps prove the skills of the student and helps you understand what skills are important in the role. Just give students a 15 or a 20-hour project. It's going to show you what they're able to do and help them better understand what you're going to be asking for them, whether in a traditional internship or a full-time job. We're not asking you to abandon the traditional internship programs or anything like that. We are in full support of summer and year-round internships and co-ops. This is just a great way as a micro-intern to help you improve on that process. Also, you'll see from the student more about their soft skills. How proactive are they in their follow-up? Are they turning in a deliverable that's error-free? Are they communicating with you in a timely manner? These are things that it's great to try before you buy, so to speak. And if you hire a micro intern that doesn't work out, which doesn't happen often, but if it does, you've been able to try that out without investing a large time or cost investment in that student. Secondly, employers use micro internships as a great resource for building that talent pipeline. So they can be used also as a keep warm strategy. Right now, at this time of year, it's kind of turns into that season of renegs or ghosting. Maybe a student who you offered an internship through back in fall recruiting somehow isn't responding to your emails now that it's almost time to start. And so if you want to continue to engage the students over the long term, consider offering them micro internships where they can be in touch with you throughout the year and they're able to, get a little money for that as well. And so a great opportunity there. We also hear that micro internships in this use case are great for younger students. So maybe you're typically used to recruiting juniors and seniors only. But what about those freshmen and sophomores that are eager to show you their skills, but you're not quite ready to bring them into the recruiting mix? And so again, this is going to help them get into your pipeline, get familiar with your organization, and they'll start to maybe think more about, is this the right major for me? Should I continue down this path now that I've tried out this project a bit and I've learned more about what this role entails? Is this the right fit for me? So by the time they're juniors and seniors, you feel more confident in their ability to want to move forward. Finally, we see plenty of organizations of all shapes and sizes, large, small, etc., use micro internships for on-demand support, which is great, again, for companies of all shapes and sizes. Also really good for organizations that may not have a campus recruiting presence at all yet. Maybe you're just starting to dip a toe into college recruiting and you're not really sure what's involved, or you don't have needs for career fairs or hosting presentations on campus, but you'd like to engage students from time to time. They're also great for busy times of year, busy seasons, or if you only need a student on demand. I'm looking at my own to-do list over here. It's quite long, and so it would be great to have a micro intern come in and help me cross some things off when things get busier. And so students are still getting that paid experience, and you're getting something, taken off your plate. So it's great, a win-win. So, when you're getting help on a project, you're also getting insight into our candidate intelligence platform. Our employers are often looking beyond the individual assignment to leverage it as a key part of their recruiting effort. This helps you build better relationships with students, getting better insight on their skills, really better understanding cost per hire, which is being asked of companies more and more, and also getting the most out of what you might already be doing on campus or if you want to continue to invest. And so, again, in this environment, this is key. And so, focusing on those two first use cases that we just talked about, confirming fit and building your pipeline, you can see that this works really well. You can see first that it's a very cost-effective way to recruit early career talent. Again, thanks to the grant that I'm going to talk about, you can do this at no cost to you. And when you're making hiring decisions based on real insights and not just hypotheticals or a quick resume glance at a crowded recruiting event, you're also able to make easier hiring decisions. There's less opportunity to make bad hires when you work with Parker Dewey. It's also really easy for you to connect with students really quickly, and students are very, very eager to find opportunities this way. And so, again, for recruiters, this is easy. We're not asking you to completely change your entire recruiting process or to cancel your summer internships or anything like that. Rather, you want to look at micro-internships as something that makes each step in your process more meaningful. And it's meant to make sense within your existing efforts. So, for again, a few examples, I keep talking about career fairs. It's top of mind to me. You're investing in time and travel and being away from your desk. And again, you might speak to so many students who never follow up with you after. It's not that they're not interested. It just maybe they don't fully understand the process, or they're, again, a freshman or a sophomore or a recent transfer student that's just trying to figure out their role on campus. And so, wouldn't it be ideal if a student was able to leave your table with a micro internship as a next step? Like, hey, if you're interested in working for us, like, please apply to this project. This is something that you can do right away, and we can start to learn more about what you can bring to the table. Are you trying to make a case to come to campus to recruit? Maybe you're starting to just build a relationship here with these schools. Post a project for students, and then you can show your leadership, hey, look how much interest we have on campus, and we don't, this is something to make a case for being able to do more. So I also want to make sure you have a really good understanding of exactly how this helps with confirming fit, that one goal. And so we will work with you to design a micro internship that meets that goal. And so we have an entire US-based operations team that is very happy to help you write a micro internship project if you're not sure. A great rule of thumb to get started is to think about an existing job description that you already have. Maybe it's for an open internship or a full-time entry-level type of role. And so in this case, we took an entry-level data marketer role, and you can see some of the key insights here. And then from there, we turned it into a competitive campaign analysis. And obviously, this is a simplified version of the project. But you'll notice here, you're not sharing any information internally. You're not sharing access to systems. You're not having to share passwords or client databases or anything like that. The students are able to do this research using publicly available data on their own. And so, again, you're getting insight to the skills that you have required for the position, like data analytics or intellectual curiosity. And it's not anything that you have to sort of create a whole process for a short-term opportunity. I also want to give an example of some of our employers that have had success. And so Smith and Nephew is one that I want to point out. They're obviously a large company with a really good rotational program, but their challenge is they didn't really have great brand awareness among students on campus. They had this really strong leadership development program, but were struggling to find enough good quality students. And so with our help, they designed a project that helped assess skills for this program and did not require much effort on the work of Smith and Nephew. Project was very simple. They said, hey, students, here are our products. Pick one and create a pitch deck. And so they were also able to determine what students were showing genuine interest in their organization. And then we intentionally put a little bit of friction on the student side. The student has to intentionally apply for these projects. They have to answer some short answer questions that you get to develop. They have to put together a strong application that's error-free, that's showing interest and is proactive. And so again, a student might apply and say, why are you interested in this role? Because it sounds cool. That's probably not a great answer. But another student who takes the time to put together a comprehensive insight and interest to what they're looking to do, it kind of shows that interest initially, which is really helpful. And so when this project was done, not only did they have some great outside opinions on their product line from the students, but they also had actual real insights and examples of the students' skills and abilities. They were able to identify 6 students that they thought would be great fit on their team over the long term. And because these students had now seen an inside look at Smith and Nephew, 5 out of the 6 were happy to accept the offer for full time. 100% of those students were still at the company a year later. So there's really so many benefits here. These particular students weren't necessarily on the company's recruiting radar, nor was the company on the students' radar. But they were now able to make these impactful hires, and all this was accomplished for less than 40% of a typical hiring cost. So we found that one to be a good success. Also, on that building talent use case, want to show you a few answers there. Maybe you don't have a specific hiring need right now, but you want to make sure students are aware of your organization and you want to keep in front of them. And so here's an example of train technologies that used micro interns as campus ambassadors. And we're seeing more and more companies really kind of take this approach. It's a great way to have a student talk about your brand on campus, whether within their classrooms or with faculty or in their student orgs, or even doing some tabling or things like that. They're getting to talk about your organization among their peers. And again, I know from my experience working in higher ed, student word of mouth goes a really long way. When a student has a good experience with an organization or has a great project, they're going to tell 3 of their friends, and it really kind of helps build that reputation for your organization on campus. So again, a great way to kind of engage students even if you don't have an open role. We also see companies post projects that are very straightforward and not necessarily major specific, and this can be done with students early on in their college career. So first or second year or new transfer students or just trying to figure out where they fit. And so again, you could offer a basic sort of research type of project so that students can kind of learn more about what the opportunity is. And so in this case with Northrop Grumman, they have opportunities across a variety of majors, but sometimes struggle to connect with students who thought that these opportunities were just for very specific majors. And so in this case, they decided to post an HR micro internship project. And one of our Parker Dewey students logged in and was, not fully set on her major yet, but said, you know what, HR, I think I can check that out. And so by taking a chance on a low stakes micro internship in HR, she now became much more aware of not only Northrop Grumman as an employer, but HR as a career path. And so she found that that was a really great fit for her. You can see her quote in the corner here. I wasn't familiar with Northrop Grumman at all before finding this micro internship. I had no idea how big this company was. And so we find that more than half of our micro interns who complete our post project survey report that awareness of a company that they weren't familiar with was one of the major outcomes for them. So when you're trying to build relationships with certain groups or programs or majors or anything like that, this is really an ideal way to start to do that. So, and here you get a look at the real impact. So the longer term outcomes and some of the numbers, also really great for reaching different demographics. 80% of the students that complete micro internships come from underrepresented backgrounds. This is especially an impressive number when you compare this to students that complete traditional paid internships. When we look at that data, barely a quarter of paid internships are being completed by those who are historically underrepresented students. Given that so many Parker Dewey projects are remote, it also allows students that aren't able to, travel to a different area or New York or Chicago or whatever the case may be, or want to go to a different geographical region. It allows students to complete the projects from their dorm room, and it makes it really accessible for all. Because these are short term, again, the students continue to take class, continue to work on their part-time job, really without any disruption to that routine. You can also see the average cost per hire for campus recruiting shows real impact with a 40 to 80% savings. And then also look at the retention rate for students that complete micro internships. It's almost 100%. So by using micro internships to help students find their fit, it really does make a difference. And by giving students opportunities to work on these projects and paying them to do it, it leads to more time and cost effectiveness for hiring and creates more equitable hiring opportunities, which is really our goal. So I kind of teased at the beginning this option to try micro internships at no cost to you. And so we work with a number of foundations and funders and resources to allow students to complete micro internships really at no cost to the employer. And so more specifically, I want to talk about an opportunity for students at CT State Gateway and Southern Connecticut State, where you can actually post up to 5 15-hour projects at no cost to you. The students, of course, are still paid for the work, but you will not receive an invoice thanks to generous funding we have from the DeLuca Foundation. One little red flag is that this program is scheduled to wrap up at the end of May. And so you do need to have students selected before the end of May to participate in this program. They can still do the work in the month of June, for example, but they need to be selected so that we have record of them being selected before the end of May 2026. So again, you can post a project today and have students applying within 48 hours. But if you're like, hey, I'd like to take advantage of this funding, I have no idea what kind of project I need. Let's work together and make sure that we're helping you come up with some ideas and formulate something so that you could take advantage of this opportunity before the grant runs out. So it's really a great option for students and for you to explore micro internships if you want to just dip a toe in before making, a longer term plan. I also really want to point out, because I know that this group is a mixed audience of organizations of all shapes and sizes and faculty and staff and all that. Parker Dewey is for any kind of organization. You can be a one-person startup, you can be a major Fortune 500 company, a nonprofit, small business, it doesn't matter. There's roles for you. Students are eager to get experience at all organizations. And so, want to make that clear that there's opportunities as well. And then again, that third use case that we talked about before, that get stuff done. I just want to remind you, it's a great way to get stuff off your plate, to tackle things during a busy season, for example. There's this nonprofit that always pops in my head when I talk about the Get Stuff Done. They had their annual in-person fundraising event. They brought in a micro intern in graphic design who created their program for them. So a great way to have a one-time support, just to kind of cover some of those needs. So it makes it very easy. So to post your micro internships, it's super easy. Again, think about your project. If you're not sure what that's going to be, let's talk and we can work on something together. Once a project is posted, students will apply for the project. So we don't match them or force somebody on into your organization. You get to pick who you want to work with once the students have applied. And then from there, the work gets done. We do recommend a kickoff call with the student at the beginning of the project as a best practice. It's not mandatory, but it's a good way to put a face to the name and get to know the student a little bit and just make sure that they're ready to go and fully understand the project. And then from there, they'll get to work. You can engage with the student regularly if you like to, or just wait for them to turn in the deliverable to you at the end of the period. Another great way to connect the student with your team, have the student present the deliverable to you and your team on Zoom or whatever tool that you use. It's just another, if you're looking to kind of engage a student with your organization, it's a great way to do that, but certainly it's not mandatory. I'm going to stop my share here and I want to show you how to post.
Oh, before you get into that, Emily, can I just make a
Yes,
quick comment?
please.
I suppose this is more for the faculty and staff that are in the room because this was such great information, a lot of information. So my plea to the faculty and staff is, not only is it helpful for you to see what this could look like for a student from the employer's end, right? That this
Mhm.
could be more than just a resume builder or a chance to learn more about a specific industry. This could be a kind of a try before you buy, right? This is a really great networking tool for students. So please keep this in mind when you're advising students, when you're meeting with students, that this could be a great opportunity for them. But also, if you can keep in mind with your own networks, if you know any companies, any businesses, any colleagues that are looking to hire, it would be so helpful for you to pitch Parker Dewey as one of their recruitment tools now that you know a little bit more about the process, especially considering this DeLuca grant is here and it's only here for a short time, right? So if you have any questions about that process too, I know that Emily, you have more to get through and that you'll be here a little bit later after the webinar, but you can also reach out to myself for you Gateway folks. And then, Southern, you have your contacts here as well.
Yeah, and again, it's really a cool resource to try for free. 15-hour projects, you get five. So you could even hire the same micro intern 5 times if you want, like if you want them to work on a longer term type of project, or 5 different students for 5 different projects. Or you could have 5 students do the same project if you want to think about it from that audition mentality. So there's a lot of different ways to engage and use the DeLuca grant to your advantage. I also want to make clear that we already have the money. You don't have to apply to anything. You're not filling out paperwork. We already have it. It's set to go. You just post your project and then you'll not receive an invoice or anything like that. So sometimes organizations are worried that like, oh, we have to get permission and fill out paperwork. There's nothing to fill out. We already have the funds available. So very easy to get it all implemented. Just the last thing I wanted to show you really quick was just what it looks like to post a project. And so here is, we have a sample project library. By no means are you restricted to just these projects. We always allow you to create a custom project, of course, if that's what you're looking to do. So I'm just going to show, like we see a lot of social media projects, for example, it's popular with students. So I'll just show you an example of what it looks like. And this is kind of what the inside of our platform looks like. So when you're going to post a project, you put in the title, your department, your anticipated start and end date. Again, the students need to be selected for the DeLuca grant no later than the end of May. So you'll want to make sure that the dates are in here accordingly to take advantage of that. Within this section here, you put a little bit about your organization, what the project will entail, what the student would be doing, and then again, what those deliverables look like for you. You're able to, again, have the student remote or on site. So if you want it remote, great, or you can toggle it over to on site. Down here, I wanted to make sure I show this to everyone in the session under program. In order to receive the no cost projects to you, you're going to make sure that you choose DeLuca. You will get a copy of these slides as well as this presentation in case you forget, but DeLuca is the funder that's covering the cost of these projects. And then you'll see from here, it will default to the 15-hour project. The student receives $300. And again, if you're looking to, bring on 5 or whatever you want to do, you can make that adjustment from there. Additionally, you can add any skills that you're looking for. So again, social media comes up, that can be a skill. And then if you're looking for the students, to answer any of these short answer questions, you can add in some of your own as well. So that it gives you some flexibility to add some content here. Again, if I was posting for a social media project, I might ask as one of my questions, what experience do you have using social media? Just to kind of get some insight from students there. And then from there, again, you'll click post now. And then it usually takes, again, about 4 to 8 hours for our operations team to review it and then get it ready for the students to view. Also for the faculty and staff on the call, I also want to point out that our projects open and close very quickly. The process moves very fast. And so if you log in on a Monday and you're like, oh, this project looks cool, you may not see the project still live on Thursday because again, it goes really fast. So my advice would be to encourage your students to log in frequently as they're looking for projects because the projects will come and go quite often. And so there will be a plethora of projects posted under this DeLuca grant over the next probably 6 weeks or so. But I would again encourage them to log in regularly as opposed to logging in once and then that's it. Because sometimes students will do that. So just kind of keep them going and tell them to keep checking in.
Emily, I just have a clarification question. You may have already answered this, so I apologize if you did. For
Yeah.
my employers in the room, if they only have an interest in Connecticut students, right?
Mhm.
Is there a way for them to indicate that on their posting?
Yes, the grant does cover students in the state of Connecticut, the state of Florida, as well as some HBCUs and HSI institutions. If you're only looking to recruit locally or you want a student from a specific school, you do have the ability to put that preference in the description. It does get viewable by the students that are at other schools because this grant is open to them for officially, but you're certainly welcome to, put the preference in, or if you only want local candidates or whatever the case may be. When students apply, you will always see their name, their graduation date, and where they go to school. You'll also see where they live currently as well as permanently. So maybe they go to school in Florida, but they're from Connecticut. So you'll get a chance to see that from the student. And then the last thing I wanted to share before we wrap up is just what to do next. And so I'm very easy to get a hold of. I put my email address right here. I'm just emily@parkerdewey.com. Very easy to find me. If you're thinking, hey, my next steps are that recruiting side, confirm fit, hire with confidence, or build your talent pipeline, I encourage you to just schedule some time on my calendar or just reach out if you have questions to get started. If you're like, I just need to get stuff done, no problem. You can just go ahead and post all on your own. But if you want some support or you need an extra set of hands or whatever, I'm always happy to meet with you as well. And so that's what I have for today. I'm only 1 minute late, so I'm very proud. I would love to answer any questions that any of you have. People are often shy in this webinar. You don't have to be.
I have a question while our folks in the room, our guests, are thinking about their question.
Mhm.
Who manages the day-to-day supervision Is it
Mhm.
the employer partner or is it Parker Dewey?
The employer partner is managing sort of like if a student has a question on the project or, hey, I need some clarification on what you're asking for here, you'll have that direct communication with the student. If the student doesn't show up or isn't responding to your emails or you're having a hard time getting hold of them, our student team at Parker Dewey is available to support you. We have a 97% success rate over the 10 years. Most projects go through with no issues. But as we are working with students, every now and then things come up in their personal life or whatever the case may be. If there's ever a case where the student doesn't work out or they disappear or anything, we're happy to replace them, at no cost. We'll give you that project back. Or obviously, but we'll make the attempt to figure out what's going on with the student.
Thank you.
Thanks for putting the links to share with students and employers. That's great. And if you're an employer on the call, if you click on that gateway link to share with employers, it takes you directly to the landing page for the school. So you're able to get started right from there. Okay, any other questions? All right. If again, Emily at parkerdewey.com, I'm happy to connect one-on-one for any questions you have. Other than that, thank you again
Thanks.
to our partners and being so supportive.
Yeah, on behalf of Gateway and Southern, we just want to thank you, Emily. That was incredibly thorough. And we're eager and excited for our partners to look into this. And we're here to support if you need us for sure.
Absolutely. Likewise. And again, take advantage of the free funding. It's here. So hope you'll consider it. And I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar and look forward to connecting with you again. Thank you all.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.